Clover podcast is sponsored by Planet Celtic.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to your Wednesday night four-leaf Clover podcast. Welcome to Paddy, welcome to Jerry, and welcome to Kaiser, and welcome to everybody else that is in the chat as well. It's good to see you as ever. I did put on the YouTube community page that we did have a big announcement to make this evening, and a big announcement we do have to make. You'll notice that one of our regulars is missing. It's our Andy, and unfortunately, we've got some bad news for everybody. Our Andy has decided to hang up his mic with the Four Leaf Clover podcast. We're absolutely devastated that he's chose this course of action. We totally understand that he's done it as well. He's a very, very busy man, as everybody knows. It's completely came out of left field for all of us, and I'm sure for Andy as well. He's a very, very busy man, as everybody knows. He drives his lorry. He's in Ireland all the time. He's in Scotland. Myself and Andy actually started this podcast up just over a year ago. I feel like my right arm's been cut off, if I'm being honest with you. We started this. We invited our Paddy and our Jerry on to join us. We started off as a good wee team. We invited Davy Wilson. Our Laura as well came on, and then our Kaiser jumped in as well. It's devastating news for everybody at the pod. I'm sure it's devastating for everybody that's watching the pod as well. He's been a massive integral part of this podcast from the start. I produce the pod, I do all the stuff behind the scenes, but Andy does so much. All the videos that you see, all the Randy Tims, all the funny stuff. All the TikTok stuff that he done as well. The guy is an absolute genius, and I'm absolutely devastated that he's took this course of action and decided to leave us. I don't really know what else to say, barring we're going to miss you, Andy. I hope that one day you can hopefully come back on the pod if things ease up on in real life. Basically, the pod is always open for you, mate. You can jump on this podcast at any given time. Yeah, mate, it's there for you whenever you need us. We're only a WhatsApp away as well if you need us, mate. Just if you need to speak to any one of the three years here, we're always there for you whenever you need us. I'm going to hand it around the table, let the lads say a few things. Obviously, we didn't need to do this. You know, people leave podcasts and things like that, but we felt so strongly enough about Andy that we all wanted to say our own little piece. You know, on the guy that so much he's loved and respected on this podcast. So, Paddy, first of all, how has your week been? And just devastating news about our Andy.
It's been a busy week, Scott. Obviously, one or two things obviously going on here at home as well. But we were at the game on Saturday. The Hibs game went with the game. So, just a disappointing performance, disappointing trip over. And then back to work again at the beginning of the week. So just been sort of flat out again, but good to be back on with the guys. And what can I say, Scott, about Andy? There's no words that I can find to put into context, from just over a year ago, I suppose, July last year, whatever, August last year, it was one of the first messages I got about this pod was from Andy himself. Obviously yourself as well, Scott, but Andy was probably the first one that I made contact with, or he made contact with me, and it's not something that I'd ever really given an awful lot of thought to, just that. But then I saw the message and I thought, well, do you know what? I'm going to throw my hat in the ring there, So Andy was straight off the bat, and arranged to speak to both you and Andy once I got back from holiday. I was in New York at the time, if you remember. So just, the guy just from day one, along with yourself, Scott, just made me feel so at ease in the whole thing, just made it easy, and, as somebody who's never really done that sort of thing before, I just picked up and learned so much from Andy, especially early on when it still felt quite awkward for me. And Andy gave me a few wee hints and tips, and one of them was to say, listen to yourself back a few times just so you see, and it does work. for me, the biggest thing for me was I needed to slow down. I needed to slow down the way I spoke. That's what we do here. We tend to speak at 100 miles an hour over here. So I'm not the only one. But I picked up so many wee, hints and tips. And to be fair, along with yourself, Scott, he was just such a mountain of support for me. As I say, especially at the start when it was still quite new and I was still quite nervous about coming on and stuff like that. So he was very, very good. He was very, very influential for me. And we've all seen the work that goes in. I know you're involved in the production side of it, but you see the stuff that he comes up with, those videos and graphics, and the guy just has a flair for that. He obviously has a talent for that. We can weave those wee stories and the music he puts on, and he's just sensational. The stuff I've not seen any single podcast contributor anywhere that does what Andy does. I just don't. They don't exist. They don't have that person that does the graphics and does the video intros and the stuff for the quizzes and stuff like that. So listen, it'll be a huge miss. It'll be an absolute huge miss. But we're all human. We've said that before. Sometimes people think all this is very, very easy. But it does require quite a fair commitment. This to try to be, you're on a Wednesday night, you're on a Friday night, and you could probably be on a post match as well. So you have to commit sometimes to 2-3 nights a week, and sometimes that's not just as easy as it sounds. And Andy drives his lorry. He's a lorry driver. He's over the water. He's back and forward. And I know recently that I've been talking to him that he gets frustrated from time to time because he's not always where he wants to be in his lorry in terms of either being home with his family or being somewhere quick enough or time enough to set up for the pod. And the guy has shown unbelievable commitment over the last just over a year. I think he deserves enormous credit. He deserves enormous credit for probably sticking it as long as he had, because it's very, very difficult to do. I'm very fortunate that I'm a 9-to-5er, so I'm basically home in the house every night. There's very few reasons why I wouldn't be on at any time, but Andy's job, is very much up in the air. He could be, and his plans can change literally lastminute.com with the work he does. He could be hoping to be home that evening, and all of a sudden he's sent to the south of England again on his lorry, and he just has to go where the boss sends him. So it's not easy for him. So I hope things ease up for him. And I hope he finds, a bit of happiness and a bit of contentment. Maybe the pod was taking up a lot of his life and a lot of his attention and stuff like that. So maybe it will, and let's hope that maybe with a few weeks, maybe a few weeks or a couple of months or whatever, sometimes you maybe go away, maybe recharge the batteries, maybe look at things a bit differently. Maybe we'll see him on again. But I will miss Andy very, very much, because he was an absolute rock for me, especially earlier on, and even still now. I still run things past Andy, and him and me would contact, Jerry, Kaiser. We all do it, in the group chat. Sometimes we do it privately if we're out and about, whatever. We talk about the game, we talk about players, we talk about this, that, and the other. So I'll miss having that wee chats with Andy and stuff like that. He's a absolutely diamond bloke. Just one of the best. Just a really nice bloke. Thoroughly committed to his family, thoroughly committed to Celtic, and we will miss him absolutely very, 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 very badly, as I'm sure will the viewers. But let's hope it's not the last we see of him.
Yeah, let's hope not. Let's hope he, like you said, he does take a wee break and comes back to us eventually. Jerry, you've been on your travels, mate. You've been over my neck of the woods here in Spain. Some of your photos have been fantastic. I've put them up on the pod so everybody could see. Where were your pit stops, mate? Where did you go to? And obviously, very sad news about Randy.
Yeah, well, I was Le Havre for Paris to start with, then Bolbea, then on to Lacacruna, then Vigo, Scott, on the cruise ship. But great time with family. So I did cousins from Glasgow and stuff. But I talked to my dad about buying the merchandise. Can I buy the merchandise? My dad actually bought me the Real Betis top and Lacacruna one. It's green. The two of them are green.
Yeah.
I'm just in case he's watching tonight, Dad. I'm not behind me, but I didn't fancy him tonight. So after all that eating and drinking, it might not be about. I don't even know when I'll get into them, Scott. To be fair, the winter's coming in, so just in case my dad was looking to see if I had they bought me the strips, So I'm sorry about that, wee man. But I had a good time with families, mate. Cruise was brilliant.
Good.
But that's me back now for the winter. And then obviously coming back to hear the news about Andy. It's a sore one, mate. Sore one. As Paddy says, when I remember he's telling us to come onto the pod and I wasn't too sure about it. I know I love Celtic, but there's a bit more to it than just loving Celtic. So, and I'm never really a big podcast guy myself, watching many, so I didn't really know what I was getting into and stuff. And I think I watched you and Andy for the first Saturday, our first game, Scott, and I was like to myself, I think I was actually saying to myself, how good are they two, you know? How good is Andy and Scott? So that really put more pressure on me for like the Wednesday night. I don't think I slept for Saturday to Wednesday. As I say, but then Andy was always there for the wee tips and stuff. And listen, I just think for him, listen, it's hard. We come on a Wednesday and we do a bit of studying on Tuesday night. We come on the Friday, we do a bit of studying the Thursday night. Because
Yeah.
we're not the best podcast in the world. But we'll try and make it to the best for the folk who deserve to sit there and give up their time to watch us. So we'll try to give them the best we can. And that's the only way we do it is by studying. And because there's many folk out there I didn't realise we make their week sometimes. And I didn't really realise, obviously talking about Celtic, brilliant, but I didn't realise we community side of it. The other stuff I didn't realise. It's very important for some people there's maybe themselves. And with us going on, that's their wee own stuff. I didn't realise all that side of it. And that's how we're trying to do our best for these people. To give their night, no. But for Andy, I met him in Glasgow, Scott, for the Cup final, and listen, just a genuine top bloke. So he was, and him getting up and doing to use Paddy says, doing the truck, maybe getting up the road on a Friday. He's only maybe saying hi to the wife for 5 minutes, and he's back on the podcast again. It was maybe just a bit much. And fair play to the family, because they've obviously supported him. So you can't miss out them as well. So fair play to the family, because they've supported him and everything he's done. It's just maybe a wee bit too much for them. And hopefully he takes a wee break and realises, but you know what, I can squeeze in. Maybe not as much, but take a wee bit off, because family comes first. But if you can do a wee bit of family and a bit of this, absolutely fucking brilliant. Love to see him again. But as I say, we'll keep doing what we're doing to keep everybody happy as much as we can. Try our best anyway, mate. That's all we can do. But Andy, I'll catch up. We Guinness soon, mate. All the best, pal. God bless.
Aye. Kaiser, first of all, how has your week been, sir? And just to reiterate what the other two guys said, and obviously myself, just devastating news to hear about our Andy leaving the pod. But as Jerry said, Andy said, and as I said, hopefully it's no goodbye and it's just see you later.
Mate, 100%. Had a good week, you know what I mean? Nice, easy, Aussie week, dealing with the kids and the family and that. And that's one of the things that you guys have hit the nail on the head. Andy's a very hard-working guy. Big baldy walloper. Right, let's get it straight. Big baldy walloper, right? Yeah, walloper, Andy. But some guy, an absolute legend, right? Works very, very hard. Amazing sense of humour. Great character. Artistic flair, as you said yourself, with the editing and stuff like that. The stuff he done, the videos he brought, the Randy Tim segment. All these things all matter. They all contribute to the community. They all contribute to all the people out there in chat who have a good night watching the streaming stuff. Going to miss Big Andy, definitely 110%. The door's always open for him. He knows that. We've told him that. Each of the lads individually have told him as well as telling them collectively, look, the door's always open, mate. Whenever you can find your way in here, even if you can't commit, if you can dedicate a wee bit of time. You understand, right? It's like, I don't know, like you spread yourself so thin sometimes. Andy's working full time, he's getting in late at night, he's stopping the truck to do these pods, he's missing his family, there's young kids in there and stuff. It's just, there's so much to it. People think it's, you just turn your computer on and you talk shite about Celtic. Well, that's part of it. Something you try to be informed. You need to have something to say about Celtic, right? And then you've got all the slings and arrows that you suffer for other people. And right, you can take it for the other mob. When it's the other mob who are giving you a bit of jip and that rolls off like water off a duck's back. When it starts coming for your own community, other Celtic fans, it cuts to the bone a wee bit deeper. So things can add up, things can mount up on you. Me, myself, I was part of the podcast for a wee while. My son was diagnosed with epilepsy. He started taking epileptic fits. It really impacted me, impacted my life. I wanted to drop everything and just spend time with my son. So kind of knee-jerk reaction. I was like, look, I'm not going to be on the pod anymore, lads. Stayed in contact, stayed in touch. A few weeks later, things eased and I felt a lot better. And not only that, I missed the community. I missed the camaraderie of the lads, talking to everybody about the game. I missed the community in the chat and that as well. So I would come in and hang about in the community and still give comments and chat away and talk away, contribute whatever tiny little bit I could. Doors always open there for Andy, 110%, lads. To pour over it like Baffy Boys. Paddy, as usual, speaks so eloquently, hits every nail on the head, and Jerry comes in and ties off all the loose ends, and it leaves me here just calling Andy a walloper. Big walloper, man. Great guy, but absolute legend.
Stuck a hat on tonight. So we should have.
I was sure.
A wee band. Where's my tape? Where's my PVC tape? I'll get a wee band on the arm.
It's square sausage, Mick said. You know, he is needed, but we love him and respect him so much that we just wanted to say a few things about him. We didn't have to do this, you know, but that's how much he actually means to us, and we want him to know that as well. That he means that much to us. We love him to bits. We're devastated he's left. And hopefully, as everybody said, you know, he takes a wee bit of time off and hopefully he can come back and join us. We wish Andy all the best, his family all the best. And the next time you come out to Spain, there's a few spare bedrooms here, Andy and Sarah. You are more than welcome to come and spend a few days with me down here. Not a problem. So please keep in touch. Don't be a stranger. And hopefully, Andy, we'll see you back on the pod soon, my good man. All the best to you, mate. All the best. So a few things have been happening in the Celtic world, ladies and gentlemen. There's been a press conference again today. As I got out of my shower and I was getting dried and ironing my threads for the podcast, I sort of had a wee listen to Brendan as he was talking about the Braga game. He didn't really say too much, to be honest with you, that we've not heard already. He did touch on Braga and the form they're in at the minute, what he expects him to bring, but we will touch on that at the end of the pod as we preview the Braga game. We've got a very, very busy October coming up as well, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see. I think the most notable tie there will be the title decider at Tynecastle there on Sunday, the 26th of October. It's the early kickoff there, as you can see, but we've got a very, very busy October coming up. We've got the Braga game, we've got Motherwell, we've got Strumgats, Hearts, Dundee and Falkirk. Very, very busy month coming up, and hopefully this is a month where we start hitting top gear and we can start to get all these teams ticked off as we go along, especially that game at Gorgie, which is going to be some match, something to look forward to. But we had a match at the weekend, so we did, ladies and gentlemen. I jumped on the post-match show myself and tried to cover it as best I could, and you guys, as ever, helped me through that post-match show. It finished Celtic 0, Hibernian 0. Paddy, I know you were at the game, as were our Kaiser. Jerry was probably on a boat somewhere in the middle of the Mediterranean. But Paddy, I'll come to you first, mate. What was your thoughts when you seen that starting lineup, announced just before the game? Luke McCowan got his 50th appearance for Celtic, so the wee man did. What was your thoughts on the starting lineup, mate? And just give us your overall thoughts on the game itself as well, pal.
The team itself, Scott, I was kind of surprised when I saw Ralston in for Colby Donovan. I thought Donovan's been brilliant since he started, and I'd like to have seen the wee man being given another run. But maybe with Anthony Ralston having a wee injury recently, maybe they felt that maybe Colby could take a wee rest and maybe get Ralston some minutes into his legs. Good to see Sirachi playing again as well. I thought he was probably the shining light against Hibs, and then it was nice to see him, changing it up in the midfield by giving Arne Engels and Luke McCowan a run as well. And for me, it was great to see a natural striker in any actual playing in a natural striker's position as a number 9. The game itself, Scott, it's been spoken about many times since the game, but the Celtic tactics just baffle me from time to time. Just coming down home on the boat, on bus and boat on Saturday night, we were, you just Celtic basically wasted the entire first half with this slow build up and this passing about amongst the defenders. Hibs were there to sit in and frustrate and sit down in a low block, trying to just frustrate and run down the clock. And how many times have we said that the best response to that is to score an early goal, and then they can't sit in. But Celtic just seemed to fall into this way, of playing. And again, even when we got to half time, there didn't seem to be any urgency about Celtic. The first sign of urgency was when Negrin came on. I thought they showed a bit of urgency when they brought him on. Obviously, even with playing the slow football, we still had enough chances. Iheanacho missed one that was harder to do probably than what he did. We hit the bar from there. I still don't understand how he didn't score. And there was another few as well where balls went across the goals. There was no takers, and we just had no finish. Absolutely no finish. We just looked so toothless and so lightweight in attack. It's just frightening. And it's frightening to think that this is it till January now, until we can maybe do something about it. Second half, we probably picked up a wee bit and we probably played a bit more. We certainly showed a lot more drive and desire. I thought McGregor came into the game, and certainly Negrin made a huge difference when he came on. He seemed to take the ball, and he seemed to take the space in front of him, and he was the one who was driving at Hibs and driving down and committing men to the challenge that left wide spaces in the wide area. But again, despite all the play and all the ball, it just was, we just have no finish, Scott. There's absolutely no finish. And again, I was speaking to somebody this afternoon, and they were just looking at the highlights of the Dundee United game at Tannadice under Big Ange when we beat them 9-0 at Tannadice. When you look at the football we were playing at that time, I was just watching it. Kyogo, Leila Bada, Matt O'Reilly, Jota. Just the style of play, the panache that we were playing with, the finishing that we had. We had goals all over the park. So it's just a bit of a concern. And for me, the biggest concern of the lot is even tonight there. Brendan's comments there about, hopefully there maybe can be some kind of resolution between the supporters and the board. This was my fear all along, Scott, that this is just going to bleed into our season. This whole thing, there's no sign of a contract for Rodgers. There's no sign of Rodgers, making any great shakes about a contract. It just strikes me as though Brendan's just going to do exactly what he said he wouldn't do a few weeks ago, and he's just going to settle for ticking along nicely until he gets to the end of the season, and then he walks away. And that's what I said. The situation in the summer, that was a potential to absolutely to torpedo our season, and that's exactly what it looks like. We're just, the only thing that's saving us at the minute is the guys across the city are just absolutely as bad as we are, possibly worse. I said that to somebody at the weekend. The last Celtic Rangers game, it's probably two of the poorest Celtic Rangers teams that I've seen in many, many years myself. Hearts are absolutely flying, whether they have the squad or whether they have the depth to mount a challenge over the entire season. That's very, very questionable. But the one thing is for sure, their Hearts will never, ever get a better chance to mount a title challenge than this season. But given the fact that we are so poor and Rangers are nowhere near it. So it was just very, very disappointing, Scott. Look at that Hearts team. As I say, when you see that there, they're flying, they're scoring goals, they're keeping clean sheets. They're just blowing teams away. They're playing the kind of football that we would aspire to playing. So listen, there's a lot of work to be done, Scott. We have a big, massive challenge ahead of us now. We need to try and get through this busy period. We're going to have a lot of games now. We need to try and get to the Christmas break, into the early part of the new year, and hopefully stay thereabouts and around the top of the table. And then it'll be down to the board. That's when the board will possibly feel the pressure more than anything, because as it stands at the minute, I don't think we have the strikers at the minute to dominate in Scotland. Certainly not just at the moment. We don't have the strikers, so the pressure will be massively on the board to bring in a couple of proven goal scorers to elevate us to the next level in the second half of the season. These are the guys that should have arrived this summer, but they didn't. And now we're left with that until January. So, but it just was a disappointing day altogether. Disappointing trip. We had a lot of young ones on the boat, on bus and boat on Saturday. Kids over for the first time, and it's always disappointing when they don't even see a goal. So it's a disappointing day for everybody. But it is what it is, and we just we'll start and prepare now for this really busy spell of games coming up.
Yeah, Jerry, is a guy that I know very well, that is knows what a striker's all about. He's one of the best strikers I ever played football with, and he certainly knew where the onion bag was. Paddy's touched on a few things there, Jerry. Toothless is a word that I used quite a bit on the post-match show. That's exactly what we were. I seen a stat the other day, and Brendan sort of touched on it on the press conference today, actually. I forgot to mention that. I think we are roughly about 19 goals short of what we were at this stage last season already. And he sort of had a wee dig again at the board, I would say, in his press conference today, that's what we're missing. And when you take these players out of the team, you know, your Kuhns, your Kyogos, and you don't replace them, then this is where you're going to be. We've not got time to bed these players in. They need to hit the ground running at Celtic, as we all know. So as Paddy said, huffing and puffing, but we couldn't blow the house down, mate. What did you make of the starting lineup, mate, and what did you think of the game in general?
I've not seen the game, boys, so I can only be short and kind of sweet on what's been happening. What I've been kind of reading, to be fair to you, I had nothing on that. There's only the English game on. English Premiership was nothing doing the Celtic game, so I'm only reading a couple of wee things a day when I've kind of get just to hang with Scott, so I don't really know much about the game. But I'm just saying that there's always that couple of wee draws at home, isn't there, every season, but you don't want them early doors, you know. That always kind of happens. The Paddy's saying there, it just seems to be the same kind of football now. I know I'm missing the big strikers, Paddy, not getting these folk in. You know what one big thing for me is, Paddy? I've not got MD. The bench is so weak as well. Yeah. We would maybe nothing each last season or the season before. We would pull somebody off the bench, turn the game. I don't think MD can come on that fat bench and turn the game now. I think the Celtic get a goal early. Sometimes we can go into win comfortable, but as soon as we don't score early now, Scott, it's a wee bit kind of worrying, you know. But it's all getting back to getting the players in early in the summer, mate, and we're just not firing all cylinders now. So I'm just reading the lines. It's just the same kind of football they make the last few games. So I didn't even get to see the European game either. So that's 2 games I've not even got a chance to see yet. I'll need to get myself together tomorrow, mate, and go on and look at them. But I can only go on other stuff, mate. As I say, it's still a wee bit hanging now, innit? So it is, but what can we do? I'm just going to see it through and hope for things will change, mate. And we'll start banging the goals in, because the new it's just hopefully get the goals, mate. But as I say, I'll get a watch it, pal.
No worries at all, my man. No worries at all. Kaiser, starting lineup, mate. We did huff and puff, didn't blow the house down. It was just pass. No real creativity and no real service, really, for Iheanacho. I know he did have a couple of chances. We actually did hit the bar twice as well. I think, you know, the player that's not been mentioned yet that stood out for me against Hibs was Sriracha, who I think has been absolutely brilliant since he's came in, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mate. Tony Bloom changing the landscape of Scottish football. But one thing's for sure, there's no teams coming out and playing the low block against Hearts. Maybe when that starts happening, let's see how they can craft open teams and carve them open when it's 5 centre-backs. For me being at the game, mate, right, just the same as Paddy, there was some players who I thought we played quite well. Sriracha being one of them. Some players I thought were just completely non-existent. The referee was utterly appalling, right? Every challenge on Liam Scales, he was getting pulled down to the ground, and as soon as he lifted a hand back, he was penalised. It was happening all over the pitch, non-stop. Very, very frustrating. But as much of that, there was some parts of the play that I could hold on to, especially in the second half, Scotty, and I was thinking to myself, look, there's green shoots of recovery there. Some of the craft, some of the guile, some of the carving of the chances was a lot better. As Paddy says, when Nigren came on, it seemed to elevate a little bit. Hibs were just so defensively minded and sat back so deep, but we always knew they were going to do that and try and launch a long ball for Martin Boyle to run onto and try and exploit his pace. That's their game plan. They never challenged us whatsoever. I don't remember Hibs having a shot on goal the entire game. I remember us having a few, hitting the bar twice. But when Johnny Kenny came on, it was kind of harsh on him. He showed a bit of craft, a bit of desire, and good movement for a striker. Johnny Kenny has. He gets himself about there. He's very mobile. But other players in the squad there, like your Maeda and stuff, they're just not even featuring. They're not even getting a chance. no wonder Jerry's looking at the bench and thinking to himself, you summed them up perfectly. Is that because I called my walloper? Sorry, right? I'm sorry. I was only joking. He's a great guy, right? I think the reason we're looking at that bench there, mate, and thinking there's nothing to come for the bench to flip and turn the game is because it's the same old, innit? It's Yang. We don't know what's happening with Maeda. We've not really had a chance to get a good look at him. It looks so threadbare. And even though that when I looked at the squad, mate, right, in the starting lineup, and I actually seen a team photo of the entire team. We were talking about that, remember, Scotty, the centre spread for the old Celtic mags and that. Yeah. When I see all the players there, I think to myself, got the makings of a really good squad. See if they were all firing on all cylinders. If Dyson Maeda was firing on all cylinders, if Arnie Engels was having the season that we predicted he was going to have this season, a breakout season. I think it's kind of harsh to be judging Engels so much because he's not been getting a game. Brendan's not been putting him on. The same as Bernardo. $3.5 million for Bernardo, and Brendan's just not putting him on the pitch. You can't move mountains for the sidelines, you know what I mean? And if you're not in the squad, you can't change the dynamics of games. For me, I don't know if it's at the stage again where Brendan's letting us try to play through this poor patch of form. As I says, I do see green shoots of recovery. I see some parts of the play that I'm quite happy with. Tenetke, but he had 3 men on him rather than doubling up on him. They were tripling up on him. They were sending 3 men over. They were so defensively solid. But like I was saying is, when Tenetke's drawing those 3 men out to that one side, then there's 2 other players that are left with space then, or at least one guy that's left with space in the middle. It's how are we finding that guy? How are we picking him out? Some of the passing's far too slow. Celtic under Ange Postecoglou, we used to murder teams in the transition. We were so fast in the transition, and I think that's where we got a lot of joy, hitting teams who have tried to push up on us and catch them in the transition, the high press and break forward. Something that we just don't do so much anymore. We seem to try and play the ball around and craft opportunities, and that's just giving teams time to all get back in and defend and bunker in so well. So I'm looking forward to it changing, mate. I'm looking forward to the midweek game as well. I'll be going to that as well. So, and I'm looking forward to it, my man. That's all I can say. You know what I mean? I know we're going to talk about other aspects of it as we go on. So
yeah,
put a peg in it for now.
No worries at all. I've managed to find some stats for the game as well, which are pretty unbelievable, really. And just sort of reiterate what the guys were saying. The shots on goal, things like that, the amount of passes that we made in the game is absolutely incredible. I think at half-time, it was something like 14 shots at goal. So, yeah, you can see there, 26 shots on goal, only 6 on target, 11 off target. So I don't know what happened to the other 9 that happened. I don't know what happened to them. 11 from outside the box. We hit the woodwork twice, as I said, and there was 2 offsides as well. Yeah, very toothless, but when you see it like that, and you also see the passing stats, which are pretty unbelievable, really. That's Barcelona, peak Barcelona. Passing stats there, 750, 91.6% pass accuracy. I think the most telling one there is of those 750 total passes, 100 of them went backwards. So 1 in 7 of Celtic's passes went backwards. That sort of tells the tale of the tape. And as the lad said as well, Hearts are absolutely flying. You know, they got another 3 points. We dropped 2 points. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the updated SPFL Premiership table. A little thing that Paddy sort of touched on as well is this Tony Bloom guy that's at Hearts. You can be rest assured that if Hearts are still in that position in January, they do have a man in charge who will bankroll that team to go even further. So, yeah, I think Derek McInnes isn't taking any title talk very seriously. But, you know, I think we should certainly have them up there. Derek McInnes is no mug as a manager, as we all know. And Hearts are just going to keep going on. And we've got them at Tynecastle at the end of the month. So it's maybe time we do start taking them seriously. And if you look down the table, there's a wee team in 8th position there that managed to climb the table. So that might get them seeded for the Tenant Sixes next season if they can hold on to that wee position there. So moving on, ladies and gentlemen, the talk this week has been about the board again still. The silence is deafening as ever. So Patrick, what the board thought they would do is they would roll out one of our icons, one of our legends, and ask us to dip into our pockets yet again and buy some of the new Henrik Larsson collection. They just keep finding a way to kick the fans in the Davina McCalls, don't they, mate?
It's just mind-boggling, Scott. Talk about read the room. I'd love to be a fly in the wall at some of these board meetings when they discuss their strategy and what will we do next. And they just seem to blunder from one calamity to another in terms of how to noise up the supporters. Absolute wall of silence to every question that is asked recently by the fans. The fans have all banded together now. There's a massive group of fans there, and they've genuinely asked a number of questions of the board about what their plan is for the future, what's the recruitment, Brendan Rodgers, and they've just been met with an absolute wall of silence. But when it comes to the one thing that we know they're absolutely adept at, and that is screwing money out of the support and making more and more millions to store away in the bank. Listen, we all know Henrik Larsson. They're onto a winner there because they know that he's an absolute god in our eyes. There's no question of that. And some of the merchandise I've actually looked at, some of it is actually quite attractive. But as I say, you just wonder at the lack of self-awareness from some of them. After everything that's gone on, and just when you think, right, and I do think that maybe it is starting to peter out a wee bit. Maybe we've lost the steam from the supporters that we had maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. I think the international, the last break there came at a bad time and stuff like that. So, but you just absolutely wonder at the thought process there. Right, we'll go back to them and we'll fleece them once more with this stuff. You know what I mean? So it just makes me mind-boggling, Scott. As I say, talk about you're supposed to know your fan base, you're supposed to know your supporters, but it's just every time they do something like this, it just demonstrates again that they just have absolutely nothing in common with a common working class Celtic fan. These guys are, they're just so far removed from the world that we all live in, which is the bulk of us. We all live in that working class area. So it is mind-boggling, and I actually had a giggle to myself, a giggle out loud when I first saw it. I just thought, oh my God, is this a wind-up? I thought it might have been a wind-up, but it's not a wind-up. It's just more of the same. And as I say, I don't know, Scott. I don't know where we go. Like from where we were on Saturday, there was a great element of confusion about what we were supposed to do. I think this is what they need to look at. This, 12 minutes, 29 minutes. People weren't sure whether they were supposed to be quiet or sing, or as I say, there was a lot of confusion about it. And I think the danger with it is as I say, when you hear Brendan's comments tonight there about, hopefully there'll be some kind of a resolution that the board and the fans can come together and we'll sort something out. That just tells me, as I say, that I think Brendan's just going to. That's him just saying, right, lads, we'll put it to bed for the season to see if we can win another couple of trophies here. But that's not going to move his situation forward in any way, shape, or form. And I still maintain. I said it at the time. I'll say it again. I think the board want him out. I don't think they want him. I don't think they have any notion of offering him another contract. And I think he knows that.
Yeah, Jerry. Just when you think the brass neck couldn't get any worse, mate, we get punted with this stuff at the start of the week, mate, from the Celtic board again. Now, it's no slight on the King of Kings whatsoever. I'm sure he knows and everybody knows what we think of Henrik Larsson. But this is the levels of depravity the board have got to by rolling out the King of Kings to try and appease the fans and ask us to dip into our pockets again. You know, not only 3 strips, 4 strips, season tickets, European tickets. They're now, as Paddy said, they haven't read the room whatsoever, and this is the new thing that they've came out with.
This is suppose good it's got. The timing's always great, innit? Fucking bad timing. But listen, this is this Bulls doing. They're ringing these fans for everything, no, for merchandise and bringing out stuff like that. Now try to throw the last dice with Henrik, you know. But listen, any other time that stuff would be flying off that shelf if they just do what we do. We keep buying. Do they buy? They don't buy. That's what we're asking them to do. Keep buying. It's fine saying it's using their visa kits and fucking everything to support this club and debt to support the team. You know what I mean? Things coming out, buy, and all that. What they do for us to take a wee bit of hanging for a good team to put there on a Saturday for them. You know what I mean? That's all we're looking for. Nothing. Not looking to spend massive millions of pounds. Just looking to replace people quick enough, day with the day. There may be smart cookies, you know what I mean? But fucking smart. That's all we're asking for them today. And these fans keep paying it, as you say, etc., etc. And Christmas starts the next couple of weeks as well. Do you know, it's more money for people. Put everything out for their kids. Every kids get the same, doesn't matter what wages people get. Everything gets treated the same, and it's just pressure all the time, you know. But it's worth it when your teams get a great team and you're winning and everything's all good. But these people are not even putting anything in. They feel as if we're just beneath them, Scott, you know. And the end is don't even come out and told us why or nothing. It's just I think we're all just sick of it now. And as for the fans doing their thing, they've got to do something, but get in 29, I'll be honest, I'd rather leave 29 minutes to go. I'll be honest, to get back down to the Rossin in time, Scott. I'd rather change it the other way. I know maybe not the same effect, but you're getting in 29 minutes late and you're going to be up to the game really for nothing. I'm not going to the game, to be fair. Nah, I'm just sick, fed up with it. As I say, they're bringing Henrik stuff out any other time. They'd be flying off that shelf, so now the European games come up and Christmas time. Imagine at Christmas. I'll be honest, Paddy said, I wouldn't mind buying a wee cardigans myself, Paddy, you know, for Christmas.
For the winter time,
It would have been that wee cardigan would definitely on my list, I'll tell you that.
Rain Jack and Victor on the podcast with their wee cardigans on, lads.
I popped that cardigan straight away. No, I must admit it's a cracker. But I'm going to stick to my principles and I've still got a wee cardigan to be fair for my Christmas, you know, but I'll not be a Celtic one. I've no doubt. But you know what? I'm just having me for the fans because, as I say, there's a lot of people go there and I say they put their wages go into the bank, their wages go to the bank. They've got nothing in their banks because they put everything into their heart and soul and their hard work into Celtic. And they're not asking for a wee bit back for this board, you know, who've got multi-million fucking spending players in their own bank accounts. So I think they're just a bit fed up that way, Scott, you know. I think just bad timing again, mate. Just bad timing.
It certainly is. Our Kaiser sent me a WhatsApp the other day and he says this Henrik Larsson stuff needs called out, you know, and I'd already put it on the pod because as soon as I seen it, it was one of the first things I thought of. I was like, are these cunts taking the absolute fish? And Kaiser, that's exactly what they're doing.
Yes, mate. Completely no tact. Like the people in chat have said, you can mark their neck with a plasma cutter, my man, such as the brass neck of the board. Completely tactless. And look, I understand. I've seen some comments in the chat there saying, like Warner saying she buys her son, naming his number on his top every year and eventually puts it away the next year for his future, keeps his tops and that away for him. Look, if you do something like that and it's part of your tradition and a history in your household, you by all means still get that top for your son. You know, we're trying to be solidarity, but you see people who see it's the King of Kings and they'll just do their pulling on the heartstrings, mate. They know where to hit us. They know how to play is like a fiddle, in it. Playing is like a harpsichord, my man. For me, some things about the protest and that are grating on me, mate. Right, the silence. Fair enough. The 29 minutes of silence for the 29 days coming up in a European tie when you're used to the utter volume of Celtic Park at the kick-off of these games. I can see how that would be very, very impactful. But it's not just the board you're impacting with that, is it? It's the team. And Braga are no mugs. They're absolutely no mugs, man. The team need us. They need our full backing. For me, like something needs to change. You know what I mean? And it's as easy solved as them investigating, right? Launch an investigation into who spoke to the Sun newspaper. They don't need to find a culprit right now. All they need to do is launch an investigation and open dialogue with the supporters. Just an open dialogue. Don't address it to anybody in particular. They give the fans a way to communicate back and forward. Yep. Whoever we've got at the club, this PR division that we've hired in, some of them get them on it, get a statement drawn up, a human being, not a AI statement. Get a human being who knows the club, loves the club, senses the emotion of support. Perhaps the fan liaison guy who deals with the GB and stuff at games and deals with our fan concerns and fan issues. Bring that guy in and consult with him along with the PR team about exactly how fans are feeling. I think for me, mate, some of the things about the protest and that, like I says, it's been grating on us fast enough to get a survey out to 35,000 people, the GB was. But now they're saying, oh, we can't get a survey out and get feedback back fast enough. There's such a thing as social media, and you've got thousands upon hundreds of thousands of followers across all the social media that's involved. You can put a tweet out, organised for everybody who's involved, everybody in that steering group, put a tweet out and get fan opinion. It's called a poll. You just do a poll online, mate, and you get people's opinions coming back. I think the way that would, for me, would be a lot better. Sack the board for 29 minutes rather than sitting in silence.
Yeah.
As it says, at the Hibs game, I'm sitting there and people are, all right, they're not singing Celtic songs, but they're talking about what they're cooking in the air fryer. What's for dinner tonight, Joe? Oh, blah, blah, blah. Where are you going after this? And you can hear every conversation up and down the stand. You know what I mean? Down the bog for a bit of sniff, Charlie. You know what I mean? You can hear every single word to everything. So I'm used to where I sit in Celtic Park, which is just behind Paddy, actually. I'm just up above and behind Paddy a wee bit. I'm used to it being quite quiet in that section with the noise coming from the boys over in the right-hand side and the GB being at the far end of the stadium for me. And the noise that they bring is definitely felt, man. You can see when they're not making noise, them individually as supporter groups. The place is already like a library anyway. And people are feared to get involved and stand up and sing now. You don't know, are people going to moan at you? Are people going to say to you, oh, it's that silent protest, keep the noise down? I mean, even at the Hibs game, right, the other day, there was a round of applause on the 15th minute for a young Celtic fan that had passed away. And the Hibs fans stood up, and like 40% of the Celtic fans, if you're lucky, were standing up and applauding. And I'm like, this is one of our own that we're applauding for, a young 15-year-old Celtic fan. We're meant to be getting a wee round of applause here for a minute. And people didn't know if that was, because of the silent protest. I thought we weren't doing that. And you just heard it erupting in the stadium, people talking. And for me, mate, it needs to be tactful and it needs to be assessed more. They need to start putting tweets out and getting actual public opinion of the actual fans. And like I said before, mate, make it uncomfortable for the people who are directing this. Go and stand outside the club, fart on the doorstep, you know what I mean? Stone and stop Michael Nicholson getting into his work, sit in the car park, stop him parking his car, bust his head until he communicates. Don't bust the team's head. And you see the manager now, one of the guys who was fanning the flames of revolution, shall we say, with some of Brendan's comments. He was inspiring the fans to action, letting it know it definitely wasn't him. It definitely wasn't going his way. He was requesting these players. He was asking for, begging for, asking again, and he still wasn't getting it. So with the board citing reasons like he's only got a year left in his deal, why are we going to equip the team for Brendan Rodgers? Well, in January, he's only got 6 months left in his deal, and they're certainly maintaining radio silence right now. I can see them just sticking it to us again. Like someone commented out there, they're probably going to release a range of lube and hoopy aftershave because we are getting it doggy style off the board, my man.
Certainly are, mate. Certainly are. And this new thing with Henrik's just a disgrace, to be honest. Just talk about bad timing. That's exactly what it is. So moving on, ladies and gentlemen, I've got a couple of players that I want to talk about. I've let Paddy off the hook since pre-season about his main man. I did say he'd be taking down the Arne Engels posters and putting them up of Nygren. Maybe that was a wee bit knee-jerk from myself. I don't think the Nygren posters will be going up just yet. But two players, Patrick, that I want to speak about tonight. I think we've given them enough time and enough leeway. We are into October now. Is Dyson Maeda and your ex-favourite player now, Arne Engels. Two players, mate, for me, since the Player of the Year awards, especially Dyson Maeda, we now know the reason. He did ask to leave. I think it looked like he was going to leave. There was talk that he did actually empty his locker at Lennoxtown as well, and he was literally out the door. And you can tell by his performances this season, fair play to him, he's still getting a start and things like that. He is. You can see he's trying. But like Kyogo towards the end, his body language tells us different. He doesn't want to be at Celtic, you can tell. We've brought in two left wingers. One of them has hit the ground running. The other one, we're not sure who scouted the boy, to be honest with you, let's be honest. It looks like Dyson Maeda is going to leave in January. His form has fallen off a cliff. And your boy, Arne Engels as well, when given the opportunity, he's just done nothing as well. Paddy, let's have a quick chat about two of the lads, especially.
Two of the best players in the squad, Scott, for me, but they're just not producing. They're not producing anything near what they can do. The reasons for Dyson Maeda are very, very clear to everybody. And again, this is another example, and it just rubber stamps the cack-handed nature of the business that we done during the summer. For apparently there were two offers from two separate Bundesliga teams for Maeda, and the one that mystifies me is this way. I think it was Callum McGregor that actually put out that Dyson was in and said his goodbyes and emptied his locker, and I don't quite know why that was put into the public domain. I don't know why anybody needed to know that. That just made the situation even worse, because that just tells the fans then exactly. So this guy was going. This guy was thinking he was out the door, and then at the last minute, Celtic had to pull the plug on the deal because either it wasn't enough money or they didn't have time to sign a replacement or whatever. And again, we've said on this podcast time and time again, people need to realize these guys are human beings. They're human beings with human emotions and human feelings. Dyson has a wife, he has children, he has all sorts of considerations off the field to take into consideration. Possibly was there, which of the teams in Germany was it? We don't know, but hazard a guess with some of those, those bigger Bundesliga teams. That'd be a massive move for the guy. You know what I mean? Not in terms of maybe a bigger club, but certainly a move to a better league in terms of quality of football and stuff like that. The German league, is player with the best. And then all of a sudden, then the guy's not getting his move. What other way do you expect the fella to react? How else do you expect him to react? To that. What's he supposed to do? And it's not a matter of just right. Well, pat him on the head and we're doing. As I say, these guys have ambition, they have dreams, they have plans. So just very disappointing. As I say, whoever's responsible for our recruitment really needs to take a look, because we're now left with a guy who clearly doesn't want to be there anymore. And let's not beat about the bush. It's obvious now. We didn't know it at the time, but we do now. We can see now why Dyson Maeda was so pathetic in the two games against Almaty. And I mean, even his penalty that actually sealed the deal that night just sums him up. Just absolutely summed up. Watch it again if you get a chance to watch it again. He just walks up to the spot, and you can see in his body language he just doesn't give a toss. Guy doesn't give a toss. I'm just going to wallop this at the goals, and and that's what happens when you don't look after your players, and that's what happens when you don't move them on. Whenever there's an offer there, a decent offer where you can bring money in, and then you're left with a player who doesn't want to be there and he's unhappy, and that's bound to have an effect in the dressing room. It's bound to have an effect. Big Dom says there, I've heard that before recently about the dressing room. Apparently there's the relations in the dressing room aren't great. So it's obvious for Dyson. It's absolutely obvious. The guy should have been sold. It's as simple as that. He should have been sold when he was, when he wanted to go. Brendan says that he's been aware since February 25 that Dyson wanted away. So Kyogo wanted to go in January. Dyson wanted to go in February. So he's already well aware the club are well aware. So they should have been putting plans in place in February to say, right, what we need for Dyson, what sort of a deal are we looking at? If we are going to let him go, who's the players that we're going to look at? Let's look at a list of replacements for him, and that's what you do. We've said it before. Andy was a great fan of Dyson Maeda, a sensational player, very, very important, a player that we couldn't afford to lose. But I think you see now a player you can't afford to lose when he's committed and when he's dedicated to the team. But he's like everybody else. He's no good to you. He's an empty jersey. Simple as that. He may have been a wonderful servant. Brendan talked him up. He may have done all these wonderful things. But the Dyson Maeda that we have seen since basically the season kicked off, he's gone back to being the player he was when he first came. When we wondered if this guy had ever played football before, and we wondered if he'd ever been coached. So again, massive boob from the club. Yep, we were delighted to hold on to him. Of course we were, but we didn't. We thought we were holding on to a committed player, but we're not. We're holding on to a guy who has made up his mind that he's already checked out of Glasgow. And he's, as far as I'm aware, I've been told that he's already been told that he will get his move in January. He will get the move in January. So that's the situation with Dyson. With Arnie Engels, it's a different kettle of fish completely. The guy started off like a house on fire. I was delighted when we signed him. I saw quite a few of his videos. I did a lot of research on him. I don't not normally do a lot of research because sometimes with YouTube you can end up looking foolish. But he looked a quality player to me. I was absolutely over the moon when we signed him. And, when you seen him playing against Hearts and you saw him against Slovan Bratislava at Celtic Park and stepping up to take the penalty that night, and, when he was still early in his career. But for whatever reason, Scott, I don't know, the guy is just, it's just not happening for him. And, we can't defend him any longer. We simply can't do that. You can't on the one hand slate, Callum McGregor, or you can't slate Liam Scales, and and then you can't shield Arnie Engels from it either. It's gone on long enough now, and he's not producing the goods. I was absolutely delighted to see him in the team at the weekend because I thought, right, this is Arnie's chance to prove himself here. Hatate hasn't really been doing it. Negrin has been blowing hot and cold, so I thought this is a chance for Engels here. Some people have said that they don't think that McGregor, Hatate, and Negrin as a three can play together. So it was nice to see McCowan and Arnie Engels coming in, but it's a mystery for me, Scott. Really is a mystery, because the guy has everything. The guy has all the attributes that you want. Big, strong lad, 2-footed player, capable of being an attacker, capable of being a defender. But for me, I think it looks now with Arnie, it looks as though it's a confidence thing. Even though he hasn't played an awful lot recently, it just looks as though the guy's completely short of confidence. So I don't know what the answer is, Scott, but we have defended him for to this point, but we can't defend him any longer.
Yeah, just last question on both of them then. Paddy, do you think Maeda's definitely fully off in January? What if we got similar sort of money back for Engels? Would you be happy to see him, us cut our losses with him and him to go as well?
Absolutely, Scott, with Maeda. As I say, I love Dyson Maeda. He's been a fantastic player. This last couple of years, he's been a breath of fresh air for us. He's just been a sensational player. His commitment, his intensity, the level of energy that the guy shows is something I've never seen. I've never seen it in a Celtic shirt before. But like I say, if he's not going to be the Dyson Maeda that we've seen over the last 2 years, you need to let him go. You have to let the guy go. It's as simple as that. And if you get half decent money in January, whatever that may be, if you get a decent transfer fee, you must let the guy go, because at the end of the day, he's no good to you the way he is. Arnie Engels is a different kettle of fish. Scott, watching Arnie recently, I'm not sure that anybody would give us back what we paid for him. 11 million is a lot of money, and the same as Adam Maeda with the 9 million. I think we did well to get 6 or 7 from Norwich for Adam Maeda. We may have to do something similar with Arnie Engels, but I wouldn't just give up hope on Engels just yet. I wouldn't just show up the white flag on him just yet. I think he is still a young player. He's still only a young man. As I say, he's still settling in Glasgow. He's still settling in with a big club like Celtic. I still think we still have the best to see of Arnie Engels, and hopefully it won't be too long until he shows that.
Aye, bang on, mate, bang on. So, Jerry, Patrick's hit the nail on the head there with the two guys. What's your thoughts on the Maeda situation? His confidence, his body language, he's just not producing it. And Engels as well, he's had the opportunity, mate. He's came in, but he's just not grabbed that jersey, mate, has he?
Listen, see, for the meter, he's elsewhere now. I don't think that's it now. It's January. And hopefully Celtic don't try and squeeze another 6 months out of him and it's got to be the best for them and Maeda now. The guy's got to go in January. I don't want it to turn out. He's got a great hang with the Celtic fans. I don't want the next 13 weeks. But asking me, just do what he's been doing, Scott, for the last 13 weeks. Just the next 13 weeks, sorry.
Yeah.
Just put his seat down and just do what he's doing for us, and everything he'll leave. I don't know if it's the Celtic board stuff again, because listen, see when players come here, good players, you're going to get 3 seasons at them. You tell them you're going to move on, and preferably for them it'll be England, Scott. So that happens, then Celtic don't do it. This is what happens, then you end up it ends up a mess, in the end. It should just be straightforward. Come do well and move on. We sell you, make money. That's how easy it is, but for some reason it's got to this stage. And I'm just hoping now, for his sake, it doesn't go sour with the fans and stuff, because he's been a great signing. Been brilliant for Celtic, everything he's done. When Ange broke them over. And the thing we say is there, Tati, I think you'll get another 6 months out of him. He could be next, falling out the door with him. But I just don't want to turn sour for him, because he's been a great signing for us. But as I says, he's got to try and pick up. The move never happened. It's this is what you're worried if you don't want to get injured now, Scott. More than anything. They're not getting 100% commitment and not getting injured and stuff like that. And does he want to be dropped? So that means he is on the bench and he's not getting. I mean, there's a day I know Everton's meant to be interested today now. Everton as well. So for me, I just hope he just goes, put his seat down, Scott, and gets on with it for 13 weeks and gets his move. It suits Celtic and suits him. He's coming up in 20. He's 28, I think, at the end of the month. So it's time for him now. So, but for Engels, mate, it's not been a flop of signings. Far from it. It's bad to say. He started well, and he's a young guy. And listen, the money side, the 11 million was never his fault, Scott, but it was always going to affect him. It would affect an international player coming to play for Celtic with 27-year-old with experience. But it's obviously affected that boy, because for me, he's got all the stuff there. The one for me is I wish he'd put himself about more,
Yeah.
I don't think he likes the kind of rough and I don't think he likes the rough side of it, to be fair. But for me and Oscott is, I don't know what happens after part with him, but remember Yang's wife or Yang's girlfriend came out last year. I mean, he started playing out his skin for a few weeks, remember?
Yeah.
So I don't know who's actually here for that boy. And to me, I know I'm going, he looks like a big mommy and daddy's boy, I don't know if they're here with him and help him. And by the way, it helps a wee bit for somebody to be here for him, so he can go on with his football and a wee bit of comfort for him. But listen, it doesn't look good. 5 matches, no goals, no assists this season. And we're obviously bringing these 2 players up, Scott. But, I mean, if I was Bernardo, I would be fucking champing that manager's door, if I was Bernardo. Because what is happening there with that guy is he's not even getting a chance to show what he can do. So for me, you're watching Big Engels get his chance, and it's a bad he says. I've not seen the game. I read a wee bit again, so I can only get folks saying, where's the effort? I want to fucking start. I want to be. It just seems to be no there in it. And you maybe folk like Bernardo sitting there saying, what do I need to do to? Because I've told you before, I'm no caring, managers different, but what you do in training, Scott, you've got to get there playing and show what you can do. There's guys maybe doing better than Bernardo in training, I don't know, but come on, give him a chance. Give him a chance. But for Engels as well, you're right there, Paddy, he's coming on 12 minutes here and 60 minutes here. He's doing that with a lot of the players. And see if you're not playing well, not getting 60 minutes and stuff, sometimes it's not helping the boy either, But I think we say, Scott, sometimes just go to grow, just let things go and maybe just move him on if it's not going to happen for him. Don't know if January's a bit soon, but definitely summer. If it's not happening for a boy, he maybe need to move on for his career. And as you say, we can forget about 11 million. I think if we got 4 or 5, I think we just need to draw a line under it. But it's a good luck to Maeda if he goes, mate. I'm not you give me 100% support, but he needs to go 100% as well, mate.
Aye, you're bang on, mate. You're absolutely bang on. And Kaiser, the 2 guys have hit the nail on the head as ever. Maeda certainly looks like he's going out the door in January. Are you with Jerry? The guy needs to knuckle down now for the next few weeks and, go on a high. You know, stop this body language. If you're leaving, you're leaving. You know, we don't grudge that you're leaving, mate. You've done fantastic for our club. But come on, you know, play the game. Play the game here and get back into it. And this young man as well, yeah, football is all about confidence, you know, and you can clearly see that it's not there for the boy. But where's that boy that came in and grabbed the ball, took every corner, took every free kick, grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck? You're getting your opportunity, but you're not grabbing the jersey, son. That's what he needs to hear.
Yeah, for me, mate, look, I can totally understand. Dyson Maeda, absolutely fantastic servant for us so far. His performances last year in the Champions League have obviously attracted big interest, right? He's had clubs coming in, Bundesliga sides, English Premiership sides. He's packed his bags, he's ready to go. And the board say no. All of a sudden, they bring in two wingers that play his wing and they let go of a striker in Maeda. They've not exactly showed him any loyalty there, have they? And the big man's obviously looking at his World Cup call-up for the next World Cup and playing in a better standard of league and how that's going to impact and guarantee his place of being there. So I can see why Maeda is fuming, maybe want to protect himself a little bit. He knows there's no loyalty there for the club. The club's not going to protect him. So maybe he's wanting to protect himself, make sure he doesn't get injured, and his move's definitely going to go through in January. For me, I would love to see a shades of the old Dyson Maeda. The commitment, the work rate, the effort. I know as soon as he leaves us and goes to another side, he's going to be absolutely flying again. But as people have said in the chat, not playing well in these last few months and this build up to January really can dramatically impact his value, and he's not getting as much money for the club as he possibly could earn in a transfer. And that being said, why would they want to do the board any favours? I don't think he's got any bugaboo with the fans. I don't think it's anything to do with Celtic fans. I certainly wouldn't like to see the malt turn sour there and fans booing him or winding down his time in that, because he's been fantastic for us. So I hope Dyson Maeda gets his move. I hope it's a fantastic move for him, and I'm definitely going to wish him all the best when he goes. He's been fantastic for us. I think both the guys says that and we're spot on about it. For me, for Arne Engels, I think it's a bit harsh to judge him given the fact that Brendan brought in Nygren and instantly dropped him out of the squad. Just unceremoniously kicked him to the curb. 22-year-old young man, brought him from the Bundesliga. A player coming for that kind of league with his kind of experience at 21 years old, 11 million. If people think that's overpaying, they're absolutely taking their dugger walk around the block. Come on, midfielders in that league go between 40 and 120 million, my man. We've picked up this guy for the equivalent of Dunfermline or Dundee or Dundee United, and he's been in there working hard and playing well as a young guy. We've brought him into Scotland. Plenty of time for Arne Engels to develop. Absolutely plenty of time. Even given right now, his performances at the start of this season, right? If we're thinking his couple of poor performances for the start of this season has impacted his value that much that we would take £6 or £7 million for him and just move him on and draw a line under it, then how much has Dyson Maeda's performances impacted his value as well then? Because I still want to get top dollar for Dyson Maeda. And I think, in my own opinion right now, I still think Arne Engels, at 22 years old, with Bundesliga experience and now Champions League experience, is still a 17, 18 million pound player. Easy, his value's enhanced for me. It's easily been enhanced. Form is temporary, class is permanent. And there's a few players in the squad whose form's absolutely dropped off a cliff. Balak Wisha's come in, and he's not exactly hit the ground running, but he's not had that pre-season and all that settling in time that people talk about so much. Real Hitate's form is just completely off a cliff as well, right along with Dyson Maeda. Callum McGregor as well has not been at his best, not exactly terrible, but not at his best. And our right wing is outside of James Forrest, it's non-existent, and that's indicative of poor recruitment. We're striking force, we let go of Maeda. Maybe it wasn't working out for Adam and we brought him in for 9 million. Once again, the same with Arne Engels. That's not the player's fault. It's not the manager's fault. It's the board who decided to lowball and go back with bid after bid after bid. And by the time they eventually went back for the player, the club went, oh, well, it was 5 million, but now we see how desperate you are. We want 9. Oh, well, it was 8 million for Engels. Now we see how desperate you are for this player. Given the fact that you've just sold Matt O'Reilly for 25 million, now it's 11 million. And clubs have got every right to do that. That's our boards who are action. That's why all the angles there, legends. That's what the fans really need to protest for change and really need to do it constructively and target the people who it's going to hurt. That's why I said, look, merchandise, don't buy the merchandise. £34 million last year in merchandise. Signed a 10-year deal with Adidas, named as an elite squad. If anyone's going to bring in international corporate lawyers and hold the board's feet to the fire for the way they're treating the fans and us not buying merch, it's going to be Adidas. That's the one way we're going to get this done. Outside of the kind of things that I'm saying, don't impact the team. Give them 110% support from front to back. After the games, do a lock-in, refuse to leave Paradise, make it difficult for the board, sit at the front doors and don't let the board leave Paradise. You know, sit at every door, take enough people there, enough protesters to sit at every exit and go, you're not getting out this door, you're not getting out that door without a fank in front of you and going, spend the money, you better get something done, communicate with the support, make sure that message drives home to the people that it really matters to. I would absolutely love to see the players pick up in form. I think if we continue with Rio Hitati being rotated to the bench and Tanetke is going to be taking Dyson Maeda's position out there in the wing anyway, such as the impact he's had since he came in and such as the low form that Dyson Maeda's had, I would just put Maeda on the bench, put Hitati on the bench. I would play Engels left mid, Tanetke left wing, and Kalichi Iniacho up front. And I would just go with that. Okay, Iniacho, he hit the bar in that. He done some good work. He scored a goal offside, but he still finished that. He still finished that chance. So I think people being a bit harsh on him as well, like very quick to judge, very knee-jerk phase. 1 week we're liking what we see, the next week we're angry about it. And that's all comes from, in my opinion, mate, is misplaced rage. Yeah, it's misplaced from the board. And we need to firmly put that where it belongs. Because regardless of who the manager is, regardless of who the coaching staff are, the players on the field should be quality players purchased by Celtic because they are club investments. They are assets for the club. Something like a director of football. Bring Martin O'Neill in as director of football and get a consistent signing strategy right across the board, no matter who the manager is. And then you start appointing head coaches and not in the 1980s essence of a manager. You start appointing coaches who coach the players and make them better and develop players and enjoy coming to their work and have a smile on their face because somebody else is taking the burden of transfers. Something that's underappreciated about Ange Postecoglou as well is he came in with that contact and Rolodex at agents who love to do business with Ange, and he brought us a lot of transfers his way out with the general manoeuvring of the club, which probably they manoeuvre like a turtle, mate. It's 1980s, they're sending faxes, they're trying to page people, they're no answering phone calls. It's 2025, it's electronic mail and video conference, my man. You can have, doesn't matter where you are in the world, you can set up a video call and be talking in the winky of an eye. For me, it's we need to direct it where it really needs to be. And as I says, mate, look, if we support these players, if the Celtic fans sing for Maeda, then he can't help but put his heart on his sleeve. He's that kind of player. But I can understand him protecting himself as well. And players like Arne Engels, £11 million is absolute buttons in modern football. It is absolute buttons. It's the crumbs for an English Premier League table. It is absolutely nothing. They would pay £11 million for a 21-year-old to join their Premier League 2 side. It's absolutely buttons. And we're expecting this guy to come in and be at the levels of who? Jorginho, Henrik Larsson. We only paid 300,000 for him. You know what I mean? Look how Henrik did when he came in. Well, what was it we paid for Henrik? 350? 650 was it, mate? So that's a cheap transfer. It's not always in the value of the player that tells you how good the player is. But we do need to see a bit more for Engels, mate. And we do need to see a bit more of him as well. For me, I would either play him at the 6 or continue to play him in Rio Hitati's position. And I would be resting Callum McGregor also, given his age and the longevity of his career. And I would be playing Bernardo a whole lot more. So the guys are out there. We've got that quality. The manager has the ability to change the lineup as well. and maybe go a 3-5-2 or something like that, crowd the midfield and use the players that we've got. So for me, there's a lot that can change, but the one thing that's led us here, mate, the one thing that's skipped us down this garden path are the same people that are trying to release the Henrik Larsson merchandise, and just they think we're completely naive. They think we're all absolute idiots. I believe it was a Roman emperor who says, "Throw bread at the crowd and no cheer." So that's what they think of us. They're just throwing bread at us, mate, and thinking, "Oh, there's a Henrik Larsson kit. You'll go out and buy that. No merchandise protest is going to stop that because yous love Larsson." It's a very yous and them and us. They think they're a cut above us. They're more intelligent. They're better than us, but they're not, mate. They're really, really not. So they're custodians of the club, and every Celtic fan out there is a custodian of the club. So we need to ensure that the club's run correctly.
Yeah, bang on, mate. Absolutely bang on. So it looks like Maeda's going to be leaving the club in January, and Engels, if he keeps up the form he's in just now, isn't going to be too far behind him, ladies and gentlemen. So we don't just like to celebrate the achievement of Celtic on this podcast. We like to celebrate the achievements of the guys on the podcast as well. So if they're up to anything, we'll let you know. If they're doing anything for charity, their businesses, all these different things, we do try and promote them every now and again on the podcast. Anur Kaiser, ladies and gentlemen, on Saturday, November the 15th, is taking part in the Celtic sleepout. So he is. Kaiser, you do have a little page going that you're hoping for donations. Just give us a little spiel on it, mate. What is you're doing? What is you raising the money for? And where can people find you, mate?
Yeah, excellent, legend. There is active links and stuff. We've got links for it. If you just go on GoFundMe, as you see in the picture right there, and search Celtic FC Foundation Sleepout, that's the name of the fundraiser. You can just donate directly that way. As you see there, we've already got 675 quid raised already, which is absolutely fantastic. Some of the people in chat in here and that have donated as well. Thank you very much for your donations, legends. It all goes straight to the foundation. It's not like it goes into my bank account and I get to get to the foundation or anything like that. It's just like a straight over transaction there. The foundation just to access the funds. And what it is, it's a sleep out, spending a night outside in Celtic Park in paradise. When I say paradise, it sounds like paradise, but it's a November night. It's usually very cold. I take my mobile with me. I go live. I'll dance around in a light up suit. If people donate while I'm actually there at the event, I'll do a bit of dad dancing and that. And it's all for children. It makes me look like a fool in that, mate. I understand I can't dance, but for people donating and stuff, it's a good thing to give them something to smile about and have a laugh. It's a Saturday night as well. And look, I get infused about getting involved with the charity events. Such fantastic causes, the foundation. I believe this one's for Kids' Christmas Appeal. So all the money goes towards kids' Christmases, refugees, people's help and inclusion and learning, and also the kitchen that they run out of Celtic Park as well. So all the money goes to fantastic causes through the foundation. None of it goes into the club, might I say. It all goes to the foundation. So that's how I'm still quite happy about doing it, mate. And delighted for any support that I'm getting, especially like being able to advertise on the pod, talk about it. You guys are all fantastic helping us with it as well. And everybody in chat, absolute legends for doing it and helping us out there. As I says, mate, when I set it up, when you originally set it up, it's like a small fee that you need to pay for your ticket to the event, basically. It's like 30 quid that I had to pay to book it. And then they give you a sponsorship form, give you wee tips on setting up a GoFundMe. But really, every donation that's in there, other than me putting in a wee 10, 20 quid here and there, it's all came from people who watch the podcasts. So thank you all very, very much. And people on the Facebook group as well, through Planet Celtic, a few donations through there as well. Thanks to your Paddy. Thank you all very, very much. I'm delighted to be doing it, and hopefully we can keep raising some of that money there and keep it going.
We'll get you well over that target, mate. Don't worry about that. Everybody on the podcast, I'll get my donation in soon as well, mate. I've been very busy with life as well, and it does lead on to myself, actually. I don't know if any of you know this, but I'm actually a writer, and if you can see behind me, I've got 7 of the best-selling books on the total planet on Amazon there behind me. And today I released the front cover of book number 8, It's called 20 quid in a rucksack. I came to Spain sort of 7-8 years ago with those two very things. And it's a wee story about this guy that basically leaves Scotland, makes his way over to Spain with those two things. And you can find it inside the book how he gets on in life. I'm sure most of you already know what he's been up to in life. But yeah, it's all in there. There's 3 sides to every story. There's your side, there's my side, and there's the truth. But in this book, you're going to get 2 sides. You're going to get my side and the truth. So please, when it comes out on the 1st of November, have a wee look at that, because it's very, very interesting.
So 20 quid or 23 euros. What did you have?
I think it was about 25 euros back then, Jerry. I got
€5 back then, was it?
I got an extra 5.
I was no Crusaders then, no.
Mate, I'll probably be about fucking 18 euros now, the way it's gone.
Oh, it was. No.
Aye, superb. So I know a few of you have bought the books already, without a shadow of a doubt, and you have enjoyed them. So this one isn't any different. So yeah, 1st of November 2025. Book number 8 for Scotty Boy, 20 quid and a rucksack, will be with you on Amazon. Thank you very much for your support. So the last thing we need to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, this evening is there is a wee game tomorrow. I don't know if some of you know this, but it's actually an earlier kickoff, so please bear that in mind when you're sorting your day out tomorrow. It is a 5:45 kickoff at Paradise. Celtic will be taking on Sporting Braga. Yep, the fan protest is going to be happening again. 29 minutes of silence for 29 days of silence. I'm with somebody that suggested it in the chat. I think 29 minutes of silence should be 29 minutes of singing Sack the Board. I think that would be more prevalent than what's going on at the minute. But that's just my opinion. We'll get round the board. We'll get round the guys in a minute. The board? Jesus. I wish this was a Celtic board that was sat in front of me this evening instead of the shambles we've got. Yeah, Braga, we'll get round the table. Braga are in very, very poor form at the minute, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you have seen this. They are not playing very well. They're not getting the results. They did get a good result against Feyenoord in the first European Europa League tie, Paddy. They won 1-0, so they've got 3 points on the board already. I don't know if people know about this, but the white handkerchief treatment was given to their manager at the weekend. And in Portugal and Spain, if you get that sort of treatment from the fans, then that only means one thing: they want you gone. So the guy's job is on a sugarly peg. Patrick, how do you see us getting on tomorrow night? We are a bit toothless ourselves up front at the minute. I think this is our 3rd or 4th 0-0 draw we had at the weekend there already this season. 19 goals less than what we were at this point last season as well. Tells the story. What's your starting 11 for tomorrow night? What do you see Brendan going with, and what sort of result do you see as well, sir?
It's a tough one, Scott, because, I know they're not doing so well, and the manager there is under severe pressure and has been since the start of the season. But, sometimes these things you can take them with a pinch of salt. These guys they're one of the top teams in Portugal. They're not very few bad teams out of Spain and Portugal, mate. You know what I mean? So I would just hazard a guess that they might be a wee bit better than some people are leading us to believe. But listen, it's all about ourselves, Scott. Again, we need to do the job ourselves. We need to look after our own job. If we look after our own job, we won't be far away. I personally think it'll be a lot tighter than people are letting on. But I'm going to go for the team. I'm going to go for is I'm going to start with Kasper Schmeichel in goal. I'm going to restore Colby Donovan at right back. I'm going to keep Sriracha at left back, and I'm going to go with the tried and trusted Cameron Carter-Vickers and Liam Scales. Midfield 3 tomorrow night. I want to see Callum McGregor in there along with Negrin and my man Paulo Bernardo, because I think Bernardo deserves a run on the team. I think he's the only one that hasn't really got any minutes recently. So I think the rest of the guys have all been given a chance. Engels has had a wee chance and Hatate's had a chance. So I think Bernardo needs to get a wee run, and we're better for him to do that against Portuguese opposition. He will know these guys. He will have played with a lot of these guys in the junior setups and in Portugal and stuff. So I'd like to see that midfield 3. The front 3 again, as I say, I'd like to see us going I'd like to see us going with Tanekte on the left, Ian Acho on through the middle as the main striker, and I'm going to go for James Forrest to come in and play on the right hand side. I would like to see Jamesy coming in there. Balikwisha is another one. I know the guy's been getting a lot of stick, Scott, and it's very, very early. And the Nicholas Kuhn, if we learned anything from Nicholas Kuhn, it's that we don't judge players too early. Nicholas Kuhn took a year, the best part of a year to settle. So I think Balikwisha has been getting an awful lot of stick. For not just hitting the ground running, but I think he's maybe been sort of eclipsed a bit by how good Tanekte has been, how good he's been. Balikwisha has been bad, but listen, the guy will come good. Hopefully, he will come good. And I'm going to go for a tight. I think it'll be a tight affair. I'm going to go for a 1-0 Celtic win, and I'm going to go for the goal scorer. It's going to be Kelechi Iheanacho.
Okay, mate. Jerry, Paddy's made a great shout there in Bernardo. I'd love to see Bernardo starting tomorrow night. I'd love to see Sarachi keep his place as well, who I think's been absolutely solid for us, mate. What's your starting 11, Jerry, and how do you see the game going?
I think Paddy's saying it'll be a tough game. Listen, they'll be comfortable. Every one of these guys are comfortable in the boss got, so we need to be more aggressive and quick. That's what we've got to get to these guys. These guys are all bare-feeted, move the ball about well. So straight away, it's going to be a hard game. I mean, they've got a good standard, so they will. Especially you say they 1-0 win if they beat Feyenoord. Couple of draws. What you're saying there about us, you're saying about 29 minutes is, why no sink to that board and get handkerchiefs out for 29 minutes into the board, Scott?
Yeah.
No. Because we all know what that means in Spain, no, that. We're not going to get them to fuck, you know what I mean? We can maybe try and do something like that here.
Good shout.
But my team, so when I kind of pick my team, I try and think the way Rodgers is going to be fair, as well. So I'm going to go Schmeichel. I think Ralston will get in because it's a European game. I'd like to have seen Donovan keep his get a game, but I'm going to go for Schmeichel, Ralston, Vickers, Scales and Tierney. But my midfield's going to be McGregor, Bernardo and Sarachi in front of Tierney because I think he's been doing well. That's what I'm going to go for that. And I'm going to go for Big Kel up front with Maeda and Tanekte and other wings. That's something I don't think he'll do it, but I'd love to see that. It's a bit of me trying to think like him. But I'd love to, because I don't think Sarachi's been, what I've seen him, I really like him.
Yeah, I like him.
And I think with Tierney with that, I just think maybe he'll try that tomorrow night, maybe, Scott, but we'll see what happens. But he can move in there to the midfield as well, so that's my team. But I'm going for, I'll be going for Celtic 2-0, mate.
Perfect, mate, perfect. And Kaiser, finally, you get the last word, mate. What sort of lineup are you seeing tomorrow night, and what's the scoreline going to be for you, pal?
I think that's dead interesting there for Jerry as well. That's something that I've been looking at, but maybe the other way round and playing Tierney in midfield and keeping Sarachi at left back. But that's also an excellent option, Jerry, man. Well spotted, mate. Keen to see what way Brendan's going to go. I think he'll revert back to tight, and I think he'll start with Casper, Ralston, CCV, Scales, and Kieran Tierney at left back. And then he'll go for the midfielder, Callum McGregor, Rio Hatate, and Nigrin. And I think he'll play Dyson Maeda out on the right wing, Tanetke left wing, and then Iacho through the middle. And I see it being quite a tight game, especially given the fact that the absolute volume of Celtic Park in a European night usually rocks these visiting teams. You kind of see them all being took aback a wee bit and looking around. And that's not going to be there with this 29 minutes of silence. We could maybe have picked a better introduction point for that 29 minutes, maybe the start of the second half, something like that, if they're dead set on the silence. I think it's going to be a very tough game. Like Paddy, I think it's going to be a tight affair. I think maybe 2-1 to Celtic, mate. I can still see he's winning, given it being a home tie. So, interim, boys. And Jerry, spot on, wave the hanky at the board, mate, and sign sack the board for 29 minutes.
See the thing is, Oscar, I know we're talking, we're trying to hang with the players here, but see if Braga scores early doors, first 10 minutes, and win the game 1-0. That's basically, that's just because we're not in there help. So it's, how many times, Paddy, guys, we've seen it all. We've drove Celtic going against your AC Milan, your Bayern Munich's. We've drove them on. We've been him shattered. I don't know how they felt on the park.
Yep.
We've been him shattered in European nights. There's nothing like it, but to pick this game, and I just hope they don't score early doors and it backfires, that's all.
Yep.
I know we've got to try and do something on the board, but we've got to come up with a better idea. Somebody must have somebody out there that's got a better idea.
Yeah, I think it's been slated online. It's been slated in the comments when we mentioned it as well. There is better ways. The white handkerchief treatment and the sack the board at full volley for 29 minutes sounds better to me as a better way to do it. But aye, it's been decided. The fan group has made the decision, and who are we? You know, we have to go along with it, and that's it. Or we don't have to go along with it.
Aye.
It depends who you are. You know, it's one of them. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this evening. It was a somber start to the podcast. We're going to miss you, Randy. We did have a good chat about them. Like we said, we hope it's no goodbye, and we hope it's just a see you later. He's welcome back on this podcast anytime that he feels free to come back. And we hope that certainly that is going to be the case. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Kaiser. Remember, tomorrow night is an early kickoff, so don't miss the game. We will be back here with you on Friday night to have a chat about it for sure. Jerry is going to have a new quiz for us, I believe, as well on Friday night. We'll get all the usual, something different. We'll get all the usual Celtic chat as ever with you, ladies and gentlemen. And we'll see you all on Friday night. Enjoy the next couple of days. Enjoy the game tomorrow night. And we will see you all on Friday.
On the hoops, everybody. On the hoops.
Sagas ball.
Sack the ball.
With the four-leaf clover on my breast, and the green and white upon my chest. It's such a joy for us to see, for they play football the Celtic way, for they play football the Celtic way, for they play football the Celtic way, 'cause they play football